Hello my friends, welcome to another Lissa video. Today I would like to talk about a trap that a lot of us fall into, and I myself have fallen down this trap so many times in the past because we start to feel healthy. So as I've said, I've done this countless times before, and I know a lot of people online experience the same thing because I've helped them, and then all of a sudden they kind of disappear and they've fallen off their healthy lifestyle. Maybe they reappear a couple months later and they say, I wish I would have stayed raw for all this time, but I was feeling so good, so I started eating X things or whatever. That is the trap that a lot of us fall into. I have fallen into it, like I said, many times in the past. You start to feel good, you start to lose weight, your joints start to feel better, your acne starts to clear up, and then you think to yourself, I feel great. Maybe I can tolerate cooked food or junk food or chips or bread or pasta or whatever, name it. You know the foods that bother you, and you know the foods that aren't good for you. So insert food here, but when you start to feel healthy, you start to think, well, maybe I could have a little bit of that. Maybe it's okay. Unfortunately, this is when we start to use the word moderation to justify eating the foods that got us there in the first place. If diet is fixing those problems, then you know that the foods that you were eating before were causing the problems. By getting them out of your diet, you've healed, you've changed, you've become healthier. So why would we go back to the foods that produce the problem in the first place? It's because we fall into that trap. We fall into the trap where we feel so good that we forget what we used to feel like before. We feel so good that we start to justify adding those little things back. And I've done a video on this about how I know that if I started to include cooked food back into my diet because I feel good and maybe I could incorporate a little bit here and there, I know I would fall off because that's just how I am. And I know a lot of people are like that as well. So that's why I'm sharing this video, is we want to avoid that trap. We want to avoid feeling so good that we start to justify consuming those things that we know we shouldn't. If you feel good eating raw, or you feel good eating a vegan diet, then keep doing it. Keep eating raw food. Keep doing low fat. Keep eating that way, because that is making you feel good. We can't start to justify including those bad foods just because we feel good and that maybe we could tolerate a little bit of it. If it was causing problems in the first place, then it should never be part of your life. Chips will no longer ever be part of my life. I will never consume them again as long as I live. And I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with the fact that I never will again. It doesn't look like food to me. I don't want to consume them. But for me, they were a big problem in the past. I would use them as cheat meals. I would use them as reward. I used them as punishment. All of these things surrounding a food that actually isn't a food. It's processed, it's junk food, and a lot of us will use the word moderation and use the fact that we feel so good to start including those foods back into our diets when we really just need to get rid of them. We have to learn to release and just say goodbye. We have to say goodbye to those foods that are no longer serving us and that were causing problems in the first place. And like I said, you guys know what foods those are. You know what you can't give up. But if you start to feel healthy, start to focus more on what's making you feel healthy. All of these great, amazing raw foods that are healing you, and stop focusing on the foods that you think you might start to include again, or use the word moderation to include. This is a big trap, and it causes a lot of people to fall off. They'll maybe feel really good for a couple of months doing a raw or a vegan diet, and then suddenly it's someone's birthday and they say, well, I feel so good that I could probably tolerate having a little bit of that. And inevitably they have that, and then they take some leftovers home, and then they have that, and then boom, they're still back on their old diet. After a couple of months, they wake up and You know, they've gained another 5 or 10 pounds, and then they wish that they never had that before. But at the time, they felt so good that they justified it. They forgot what it was doing to them in the first place. So we have to stay focused. We have to realize that this is a trap, and we need to avoid it. So remind yourself every day that you eat clean, whole, healthy, raw foods, and that should help you keep on track. Plan your day, make sure you eat enough, and remember to say goodbye to the foods that you know are going to trigger you to fall back to your old way of life. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe to my channel to get notifications for more. You can find me on Facebook at Lissa's Raw Food Romance, on Instagram at Raw Food Romance, and on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. So until the next video, guys, I love you all so much, and fruit on.